I've cold approached hundreds of women over the years. It's probably a lot more than that. I just want to not exaggerate like maybe some of the guys on YouTube. What most guys don't realize is anybody can do this, and it's an extremely valuable tool to have, especially if you're over 30 and don't have a big social circle. You just need to understand the key beliefs and the system that I'll start laying out in this video. And if you need additional help with this exact thing, we've got a free guide that you can pick up in the description below, and we may even have a slot open for our coaching. That's usually about $1,000. That's 99% off right now. The first key is using indirect openers. This is what's worked best for me, and I find it to be the most effective. I don't really understand why there's so many YouTube videos instructing or showing infield footage of using these direct cheesy openers like, hey, you're so beautiful, I just had to come over and say hi. I do not understand the need for that. When you use a situational or more indirect opener, you allow the girl's guard to be lower. She's not going to be immediately caught off guard and put on the spot to have to make a yes or no decision about you. It allows you both to ease into the interaction. This doesn't mean that you need to be timid or try to pretend like you're not interested in her. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you don't need to go all full guns blazing right away, telling her how beautiful she is. So try to identify something in the environment that you can use to, in a friendly, disarming way, open up the interaction. If you want to give a compliment, try to give a compliment that isn't based purely just on her looks. For example, maybe there's something about her clothing that is unique or interesting that showcases that she is intelligent, or maybe she's creative. You can use that and compliment her on that, and then you can open from there. The second key is to focus more on courage than confidence. Confidence is great. It's what we all want. We want to build up to developing our confidence, but you cannot always rely on it. You're going to have bad days. You're going to feel off sometimes. You're going to be nervous sometimes. Your ability to go in and approach anyways is much more valuable than trying to constantly be more and more confident. The confidence will come when the courage begins. The third key is moving the conversation in a direction. It's good to have a little bit of small talk. It's good to build some rapport. It's good to build a connection and some commonalities, but you need to know in the back of your head that you're moving the conversation into a certain direction. What is the direction? It's understanding her situation in terms of getting a feel if she's available, interested, for getting an understanding if you're interested in her, to see if there's a connection, to see if there's chemistry, to understand what she's up to, what her plans are. So for example, if you wanted to go on a date that same day, or maybe right at the same time of the interaction, which is possible, you need to get a logistical understanding of what she's doing. And then ultimately you're guiding the interaction to the next step. Think of the dating process as almost one giant date. If you could have the date all in one day, then that would be great. Anything that creates space in between that big giant date is simply your job to lead and guide the interaction to that next step. For example, if you meet her out and she's not available to hang out right then and there, which oftentimes she will not, then it's your responsibility to then figure out how are we going to stay in touch and how are we going to set up the next time that we can meet. You also want to be conveying and establishing the fact that this is going to potentially be a romantic relationship. So any opportunity to instill a little bit of flirting or showing that there is a potential for you guys to be romantic, you want to incorporate in the interaction. You also want to make the interaction enjoyable for her. You want to keep in mind what this experience might be like for her and make it valuable for her. How do you make it valuable? If you have an opportunity to make her laugh, a joke, a smile, anything that you can bring up that's interesting, incorporate that in if you can. And then finally, with keeping in mind your leadership, is to keep the interaction long enough that you can establish some kind of connection, but not too long where you're taking up too much of her time and things just could be potentially stalling out and getting boring. So it's your job to also know when to end the conversation and to do so in a timely manner. Then the final thing that I learned that is probably the most important key is that of the hundreds of interactions that I've had, they've almost all been, if not pleasant, they've at least been friendly. It's quite rare that a girl is going to be rude to you. So if you're able to approach her in a way that is comfortable, friendly, not awkward, not aggressive, and you can make her feel at ease, she is more times than not going to respond in at least a friendly way. The reason why this is so important, because a lot of guys don't approach because they are afraid that they're going to get rejected, or that they're going to be insulted, or the girl's going to be annoyed and bothered and tell you to get out of my face, or whatever it is. That rarely happens if you do this correctly. So please keep that in mind. Do not be afraid to do this. The only way you're going to get good at it is if you go out and try it. If you think you're gonna get a bad response, then not only are you gonna potentially bring energy that might actually then create that response, but you might not do it at all. If you want me to personally help you with this, we might have a spot left where I can coach you one-on-one, and that's 99% off if there's any spots left. So go check that out in the link in the description. Otherwise, if you have any questions or need help with anything, just let me know.